Alright everybody, let's talk Metal Gear. Now, for those who don't know, there are 3 gaming franchises that I hold to the highest standard. Really only 2 now, because one of them has been on the decline and then it's been on the rise and now it's kind of in the middle right now, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog. And I revere that game to be, and I place that game so high up on my list is because Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is what really got me like full time, like, you know, this is what I love doing, playing games. Even though I played video games before then. But Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid are 2 of my most favorite gaming franchises ever. If those release, I'm going to go get them, depending on how good they are, because with the more recent Final Fantasy 13s, I bought 13 and it was just eh. And then 13-2, I waited to get it used, and my girlfriend ended up getting me Lightning Returns for my birthday. So I even though I love those franchises, I will support if I deem them worth my money, and that's what we want to talk about today with Metal Gear Solid. Because I don't know, I can't put one in front of the other. They're both like, they both have to hold that #1 spot for me. Those are 2 of my most favorite franchises ever. Now, I was there at the beginning with MGS1, got the remake on GameCube. Metal Gear Solid 2 is with my girlfriend right now. She's currently playing through that. Metal Gear Solid 3, MGS4, and I even picked up the collection, even though I own everything. I even had, it also comes with Peace Walker, so, and I never owned Peace Walker, so I was able to play Peace Walker. I had Portable Ops, and I don't know what happened to it. As you can recall from one of my earlier videos, like I said, a lot of my stuff got lost in the move, and I never played the Acid games, so that's something I'm going to have to go back and play, even though they are card-based games. But, I'm a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, as you can see. I own pretty much everything. And what I want to talk about is what's going on with Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes, and the Phantom Pain. Now, I was going to go pre-order the game when I heard about the main campaign being only 2 hours long, and so I was like, well, I better hold off then and wait and see more information that comes down the line. Now, if you've been following this game as long as I have, since they announced it midways last year, information came out that Hideo Kojima, and I'll have all the links to what I'm saying in the description, Hideo Kojima said that Ground Zeroes was going to be a PSP title, but then they saw that, you know, next generation consoles were coming around the corner, so we might as well develop it for those. So they decided, and plus they weren't sure on how they were going to package the game. If you remember, with all the trailers for the Phantom Pain coming out, and then everyone was like, well, what about Ground Zeroes? You've been talking about Ground Zeroes for a while now. What's going on with that game? And he said, well, I can't really talk on how we're going to be releasing those. And then after that, they came out with the statement that Ground Zeroes was originally supposed to be a PSP title, but since, you know, the next generation of consoles were coming out, we decided to go ahead and release it with the Phantom Pain. And then it came out that the Ground Zeroes was going to be separate from the Phantom Pain, and that it was going to be an earlier release so that people can go ahead and get their hands on it, and that it is the prologue to the Phantom Pain, and that it wasn't going to be that long of a title, so we're going to sell it for $19.99 digital on current gen and $29.99 for physical copies. Well, I can understand why people could be mad about the next generation versions being $39.99. I can completely understand that. And for those who don't know, recently they've come out and said that, hey, we're dropping the price on next generation console versions down to the $29.99, just like the last gen versions. Now, for those who don't know, Game Informer released an article saying that, oh, well, the campaign's only going to be 2 hours long. Well, after that, Kojima came out and said that, of course, because of the open world nature of the game, and for those who don't know, that Metal Gear Solid 5, they are going open world. And you can see it was going towards this direction with Metal Gear Solid 3 and how they put you in a forest and they wanted to be open-ended and for you to have different choices on how you wanted to tackle situations. And then with Peace Walker, you could definitely see how they were trying to push for an open-ended environment and customization and things of that nature. So we could already see from the previous titles that Metal Gear was moving towards an open-ended type of game. And so his defense was that since it's open world nature, there's so many different ways to tackle these missions, not to mention there's going to be side missions for you to take on. And, the big thing about this game is going to be replayability, and then all the gamers having a different experience, because we're all different individuals and we're all going to tackle each situation differently. Then we've had gamers that went to PAX who actually sat down and played it and were like, what was Game Informer talking about? This game is way longer than 2 hours. It took me 5 hours to beat the game. Some people said it took them 4 hours. And then they said their completion time. One guy said, well, it did take me 2 hours, but I only had 9% completion. And then the people with 5 hours completed said, well, we only got 12% completion or 8% completion. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of content in this game. But then you have Game Informer saying, oh, well, it's 2 hours long, that's it. With everything included, we did it in 2 hours. And we've even had speedrunners beat the game in 5 minutes. So no one knows how long this game is. And so, I mean, me personally, concerning the pricing of the game, I don't necessarily have an issue with them releasing the prologue earlier, because they've been honest, they've been open, and they've said, hey, this is what the game was going to be initially, being a PSP title, and then we brought it towards current gen, and we want to get it out there earlier for people. And they even said that it's not going to be that long of an experience, so we're not going to charge you full price for this. So we want to give it to you for $29.99. And for those who don't know, PSP titles, and even I believe the PS Vita titles do run for, or any handheld game, they run for $39.99. So them giving us $10 off, I kind of feel like, I don't feel like there's a problem there. Now, I did have a problem with them charging $39.99 for the next generation, yet they're giving current gen, the $29.99. I don't understand why it wasn't just $29.99 across the board. But now they're giving it to you for $29.99, excuse me. So, with that being said, with them coming out and saying, hey, this is how it's going to be, and then, this is the pricing for it, I kind of feel like whether you feel that it's worth your money or time or not is subjective. And this is another thing, or another way I feel about it too. Now, I've owned all the main titles, right? Not once have I had a terrible experience with a Metal Gear Solid or a Zone of the Enders game. And these are all Kojima products. Products that were, headed by Kojima. So, I've never played a Metal Gear game where I felt like, I wasn't feeling that. Well, maybe with the exception of MGS2, because at first, them giving you Snake, and then, oh well, forget Snake, here's Raiden, play with him. But the story in that game was so fantastic, it kept me coming back and replaying it. And so, at the end of the day, it grew on me, and I was like, okay, I see what you were doing here. So, for me, whenever I think of Metal Gear, I always think and know that there's going to be a certain quality of an experience that I'm going to receive. And so that's one reason why I'm still pretty much on board with this. But, I mean, for me, personally, I I know what kind of quality of a gameplay experience I'm gonna get, and plus I know what they said it was intended to be first, then what they changed it to, and then them coming out and saying, hey, it's only a prologue, it's not gonna be that long, it's gonna be this much. Personally, I don't have a problem with it. Now I can understand how someone could have a problem with it, you know, being if it is really 2 hours long or not. So, you know, I just wanted to make this video for discussion's sake. You know, share the video, get gamers in here, let's talk about it. Because, you know, that's what the community is for, is to talk about things that look like it's an issue. Because I know when you have companies like EA and Capcom that don't give a rip about gamers, if they were to look at this and see if this is not really what it's going to be, what it's all it's cracked up to be, you know, they're going to look at this and be like, oh, well, Konami, they got away with their big franchise. They put this out here and they got away with this. We can do that too. And knowing EA's track record and Capcom's track record, they will give you even less than 2 hours of an experience and charge you $39.99 for it. And then, you know, you go and pick it up and you're like, what the heck is this? You know, so I do see how this could be bad for the gaming community and consumers. But at the same time, like I said, from experience, a long time, decades of experience, I've always known exactly what I was getting myself into with the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and I've always gotten a quality experience that was worth the money every single time. And that's why I personally feel that, you know, this is going to be, it's just a sleeve for the collector's edition, but that's why I feel it's going to be worth the money. Because of its open-ended nature, the different ways that you can go about tackling the missions and things of that nature, and the overall replayability. Because those who have experienced the GTA games know that, you know, the replayability of that title is ridiculous because of its open-world nature and the many ways you can go about doing things. So, you know, I just wanted to get some discussion going about this topic. Are you excited for this game? Do you think it's a ripoff? Are you waiting? Is this going to be bad for the community? Or, you know, just let's talk about it, man. Anyway, it's been Omni, and I am out of here. Till next time, take care of yourselves and each other.